Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned, because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail.
Hey, everybody, I want to welcome you, welcome like a million gazillion times in this expression of gratitude and total stress, because that's what today's show is about. You know, this is for those of you that have been listening and watching the series with Bethel Wagner. Beyond her commitment and passion to her work, there's always something else that happens. And that thing happens, yes, for some people, it happens because they just are passionate and they put one foot. But if you're Steve Jobs, you understand the pain of change, of obstacles, of being shut down, whether it's your body, and in his case, it was everything, but you understand how you rise up, and that's what today's show is about. Because with Bethel, that's how her personal journey began. And out of that, like so many of us, you look at your life and you say, I can do more. Today, Bethel is integrative nutrition health coach, biofeedback specialist, trauma-informed breathwork facilitator. What we're going to talk about today, very cool now, Bowenwork practitioner, and founder of Sage Wellness Center in Whitehall, Montana. Bethel.
So glad to be here.
Get ready for this one, okay? This is seriously important. So many major changes this year, and there are those of us that understand that this is a 9-year, and that means whatever your business has been for the past 8 years, you better get it finished. So what happens with that? Excitement, the idea of fresh start, ravens coming to your front yard, all of that. And then we get stress. Then the body tells us. And then if you don't know what to do, if you are like me, your body just doesn't work anymore. So today, let's talk about the work you do, how you help people clear trauma at a very, very deep level. Because if you're not clearing it at a deep level, what are we doing?
We're storing it. We're holding it at the cellular level.
And that is problematic when you say.
Absolutely.
So let's get right into this, right? Many of us were told there was no way to release anything for a lot of years until we found out differently. But things like your shoulder's not moving, your back is hurting. I mean, I could go on and on. Your knees are not working properly. So let me ask you the question. What did you discover in the Bowenwork platform and becoming a practitioner now, learning this? What have you learned from this, and how does this work get at the cell?
Let's see where to begin. So first of all, the first thing that really impressed me with Bowenwork was that it was this beautiful way to release tension and pain. It could help improve alignment and range of motion. And we could do it all without having to take pills or rub potions on the aching joints all the time. We could do it without forceful bone cracking manipulations. And it was just this beautiful, amazing thing. So Bowenwork really is a way to kind of access the body and just help the body begin to access its own self-healing abilities. And even, like you said, at that cellular level. And we can kind of get into that as we go through on exactly how all that works.
So let's talk about it. But for a minute, let's explain to people what it is, because there are people that may or may not know. Right. And what do I mean by that? You know, when I first started this out, I did an entire episode. Okay, don't laugh. But I did an entire episode. Instead of saying the word meditation, I used the entire word medication to a yogi. So I have evolved and I've learned. But what I also learned is in the new world we're living in, we have to explain to people what these techniques are and why for so long they've worked so well. So why don't you walk us through that?
Yeah, so it's called Bowenwork. A lot of people kind of mishear it. It was invented by a gentleman from Australia named Tom Bowen. And he developed it partly because his wife had a lot of chronic pain and he really, really wanted to figure out a way to help her. And also partly because he was just a um, really great at observing and studying the human body. He spent a lot of time with, massage therapists and other body workers, and he just had this really deep, intuitive understanding of the body. And it was one of those kind of like just divine download kind of things. He just figured out this way to work with the body, it's different than chiropractic. It's different than massage. It's its own little unique technique, but it's really a way of, number one, working with the body. So we are never trying to force something to happen. So we're not forcing bones into different positions. We aren't like digging in the elbows or knees to try to force a knot out of somebody's muscle. It's a very gentle technique, and it's working with the way the body naturally works anyways. So it's basically just asking the body to reset the tension in all of the soft tissues. We're asking the body to reset the muscles, reset the tendons, reset the ligaments, and most importantly, we're working with the fascia. That fascia is like almost like shrink wrap that wraps around all of our muscles, all of our internal organs. And if it gets dehydrated, if it gets tight, it exerts incredible amounts of tension within the body. And if the layers get stuck together and get dehydrated, then things don't glide. And that means there's a lot of stiffness and tension in the body. So that's the other beautiful thing about the technique, is that it helps to open up those layers, get them moving, rehydrate them, and then suddenly everything's flowing better.
All right, so we're going to take a really short break. When we come back, we're going to dig deeper into it about how does it work, but more importantly about how does it work, why does it work so well, and before there was anything on the planet, why did we know these things worked? Emily, let's take a really short break. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody, we're back. And before we keep going here, I want you to know that this is number one. Bethel is a Bowenwork practitioner. So that's number one. But in order for you to get the benefit of that, you actually need to know how to get a hold of Bethel. So, Bethel, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
The easiest way to find me is just to go to my website. It's just sagewellness.center. That's it. Fairly easy. It's a great way to find me. And later in the show, I can also share ways to find other Bowenwork practitioners across the country.
I love that. I want to go a little bit deeper. Can you talk about how Bowenwork addresses the deeper imbalances? And for people that don't know what deeper imbalances are, maybe you can say, because some of them could be neurological, I don't even know. But how does it help? And then what does it do to reset things? You know, so much language on the vagus nerve and da da da. But this is not going to work if we don't know how to take better care of all that, right?
Yeah. So deeper balances could definitely come in a few different ways. There could definitely be imbalance, a structural imbalance. Sometimes someone comes in saying, oh, my shoulder hurts, oh, my neck hurts, but the reality is something's off further down the line. Maybe it's actually in their hips, maybe it's their tailbone, maybe it's down in their knees or their ankles, and something is just transferring up through the body. So that's one way, is that we don't just look at an isolated part of the body. We actually try to get the whole big picture and figure out how things are connected, how they're relating, and if things are transferring from one place to another. So that's one way. A deeper imbalance, like you said, could be in their nervous system. Sometimes I get someone on the table and I can just feel like there's major tension. It's not just, oh, I did this workout yesterday that made me tight. It's like its nervous system is making their whole body tight, like they're bracing for impact, or they're, somebody recently is having to take care of a husband who's about to have surgery and she's worried about him falling, and her whole body is just like on high alert, like waiting. Does he need something? Is he going to fall? That kind of thing. So the nervous system can have the whole body on high alert, in which case we need to be able to access the nervous system and kind of calm things down so we can actually get in and help relax those other deeper imbalances. And then, like you mentioned earlier, sometimes there's stored trauma. Maybe there's somebody who's had a major car accident or a major illness or a major loss, and it has been stored in a specific part of the body. And sometimes as we're going through a session, that kind of becomes apparent. And then, it usually opens up a conversation with the client on some level. But that body work can be a way of kind of accessing that trauma and beginning that process of releasing it.
Yeah. I have a friend who never had a bad experience with this, but something from a childhood. And so anytime you say the word, okay, it's time to move your home, or even if you say it's time to move your friend's home, it's a complete emotional reaction, right? And those are the kinds of things that you just, in our society now, you blow off. But obviously there's something underneath there. And there are so many areas of, what did you say? We carry and accumulate. When we carry and accumulate, the end game from where you sit, that end game cannot look good.
No, it usually surfaces as either chronic pain or autoimmune conditions, or sometimes heart conditions. I mean, name pretty much any chronic or major disease, there's very often a link back to some sort of traumatic experience. I mean, not always, but there's a huge percentage that is.
So let's talk about, and this, we don't talk about this enough. We are now starting to, but let's talk about the nervous system. And, many people don't understand how the nervous system works. When Benson wrote his book and he talked about the response therapy and he wrote his book, he did a beautiful visual example that if you laid every sheet of paper on a desk, right, and he walks you through this. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but a sheet of paper on a desk and you piled that desk up to the moon, right? Talking about how many connections we have. And he says, well, when you get to the moon, you're not done. And then he said, well, now take that, pile them up and get to Jupiter. Oh, no, not done. So this is all the system, right? And then he went on and on and on and sent us to some other galaxy. But if we have the beauty of that magnificent system in this body, we better figure out how to take care of that, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. It's one of the biggest missing pieces in healthcare is just addressing and taking care of people's nervous systems and figuring out why their nervous system is such a wreck to begin with. And that's one of my favorite things about a Bowenwork session is the very first thing we come in and do at the beginning is just access a couple of points on the spine that are like a way to access that autonomic nervous system and just tell the body, you're safe, help is on the way. That's literally like the first thing we try to do in the session. And almost always we get to a point where the person either completely falls asleep or they're right on the edge because they're just so deeply relaxed. And that's a beautiful thing because it means the nervous system has found a safe place, and then it opens up that pathway for their body to begin the healing process.
I got to say this, Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein, had it right. And, if you can imagine being her and writing that book, which really was so far, from an anatomy point of view, was so far advanced in the idea of electricity, current, and flow, right? Whether you believe in the book or not, right now, everybody's doing Frankenstein. But the bottom line is she had a sense of how the energy flow could activate. And I want to talk about that for a minute. I'm not saying we're Frankenstein, but certainly she was right about the energy and the flow and what's needed in our bodies to function. And I want to please take us through about the flow of energy through the body, but also about looking at this body as if we looked at any form of current, about what stops it. a little glitch in the wiring, what happens? Oopsie.
For sure. So first of all, it just helps with a general flow of energy, because when we soften those soft tissues, when we relax the nervous system, when we, if muscles are tight, if fascia is tight, it's pinching things, it's pinching nerves, it's
Yeah.
pinching blood vessels. So literally, blood and nutrients aren't flowing as well, and circulation is poor, and just nervous system communication gets slowed down because things are out of alignment or they're being pinched or pulled. So that's kind of the basic level of how it improves the flow of energy and circulation in the body. But then there's also this great thing called piezoelectric current.
Yeah.
Um, and this is really, really, I think it's just fascinating. It's the coolest thing ever. We have this electrical current that can flow through our bones, it can flow through our
Yeah.
muscles and our tendons and our ligaments. And it turns out it's really, really important for the healing process. So the beauty of a Bowenwork session is we apply a little bit of a stretch, which is the mechanical stress, and then we release it, and that's what sets off that piezoelectrical current. So we make our move, we step back, and we give the body 90 seconds to 2 minutes. And during that time frame, it's literally like recharging the electrical current within those muscles, within those tendons. So it's basically like recharging all the little batteries that run your muscles.
And many people don't understand that this is a process, that the work is non-invasive from where I sit. And what that means is you're not going to get cut open, and none of that's going to happen. But I want to talk to you about this one other important thing that piggybacks off what you've said. And that is, we not just accumulate a bunch of, like trauma things, but then we accumulate toxins.
Right.
We are walking garbage cans for a lot of our lives unless we do something about it, right? Especially if you grew up where I grew up. But let's talk about this. How does Bowenwork help with the lymphatic system, the flow? Because you got to get the stuff out.
Right, absolutely. So, one of the ways it helps is it's very gentle. Lymphatic tissue is very, it doesn't take a lot of pressure. So, that's one of the things about like super deep tissue massage. Sometimes it actually begins to damage that lymphatic tissue. So, this technique is amazing because it's so gentle and it's so light that we can actually just gently stimulate that lymphatic system and get it flowing again. The lymph system has no pump of its own, so it takes either physical exercise or rebounding or some sort of manipulation like this to get it going. So that's one of the ways that this really shines, is that it's gentle and it's a way to stimulate the lymphatic system and get it moving without causing any damage. And the lymphatic system is literally like, the trash cleanup system of the body. It's going around, picking up all the trash, gathering it all together. And so we're just giving it a helping hand to get all of the trash out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a magnet. I mean, we hear a lot about money magnets. This is like the other thing. It's still a magnet, but what it's doing is it's doing what it's supposed to, right? What it doesn't expect, though, from us is not to have a way to move those things forward or move those things out. And let's talk about now the emotional side of this, because while it may do this for the body, the cellular level of emotional and mindset trauma is so deep, many people go through a lifetime without help. Isn't this a way to get help?
It can absolutely be a way to get help. I've witnessed 2 or 3 instances of being in the middle of a Bowenwork session, and the practitioner just barely touched the affected part from somebody who had had a serious accident. And that was it. She was like back in the trauma, back in the accident. She had been like on a 4-wheeler or something and almost went over a cliff. That was like a really major traumatic accident. All it took was that little bit of touch and she was triggered. It was like she was back remembering it. But through the Bowenwork and through just the ability to be there and be present with her, it helps to begin unwind that and release that traumatic event. And that, I've seen it in a couple of other situations as well, where the person isn't even necessarily expecting it. You're just going, oh, we're going to just work on your hip today. And then they're going, oh my gosh, this is like bringing back the memory of when I broke my leg and I was in traction and it was this horrible thing. But by the time we get through the session, then there's like this beautiful clearing effect because
Yeah.
we've addressed where it was stored in the body.
Yeah. When I got my knees done, we have great practitioners, and you're going to share some information. But, here in the Pacific Northwest, I was introduced to incredible holistic practitioners, right? And so when I got my knees done, I had a very aggressive goal. And I said to everybody, I have got to bend the knee at least 140 degrees. And my doctor looked at me and said, I don't know anybody that does that. I said, well, okay, some people do, but you understand my point. And he said, great, then here's what we're going to do. But the mechanics of that went well. It wasn't until I got the Bowenwork done that I cracked about 5 degrees more and made the rest of it easy. And you see, at that point in time, I didn't, all I wanted to say was, it worked, yay. But you've described how it works. And that's just one example. And I had both knees done. And to this day, these knees are our championship knees. But if people don't know this, they suffer, Bethel.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of pain, a lot of just restriction, not being able to use joints. And it breaks my heart to see people not
I
able
know.
to move.
I know. And that was me most of my life. I damaged my left knee when I was 19. And just a series of things. But let's talk about this, right? This pain and this physical and mechanical part of our body, it does get stored. So give us now in the couple of minutes your approach to it and what you want people to know.
Yeah. So I think kind of the biggest thing for me is, yes, we can experience pain because of physical, mechanical issues. We have injuries, we have accidents, we have all sorts of things that can cause an actual mechanical issue. But we can also have that pain because of the stored stress, the stored trauma, stored emotions that have gotten stuck in a specific area in the body. And the Bowen work is beautiful because it helps us to address kind of all of those root causes in a gentle, holistic way. And we don't have to rely on pills. We don't have to do a bunch of medications. We don't have to do a lot of forceful manipulations. We don't have to be invasive. Um, so if you have chronic pain, the big thing is there is hope. Um, you don't have to suffer with chronic pain. I'm not saying that Bowen work in and of itself is a magic bullet that will solve all your problems. You probably need multiple modalities brought in, but it is a beautiful tool and it can for sure bring a lot of relief, bring improved range of motion,
Yeah.
bring so much to the table.
Yeah. I had a great surgeon. I had a great physical therapist. Both of them understood holistic work. They answered my questions. So you're right. You have to bring things sometimes in combination, but isn't that also what you help people with? Is how to bring different things into combination to work?
Right.
Great.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I know I can't be everything to everybody. So I'm always more than happy to
Yeah.
outsource and connect them with other people who can help on the healing journey.
Well, let's do that right now. Now, you are going to tell us how people can get a hold of other bone workers and so forth. Why
Yeah.
don't we do that right now?
Yes. So you can just go to American Bowen Academy, and in there they have a place where you can click and you can find practitioners. You can just type in your state, and it will bring up people who are available in your area. If there isn't anyone in your, super nearby, there are some practitioners who are able to do distance sessions, which I know sounds a little crazy, but it works. It can still be very supportive. So that's a great place to go look if you need additional support and need to find someone in your area.
Well, Bethel, thank you for today. Give out your website and last thing, personal message.
Yes. So website is just sagewellness.center. And message, I feel like a broken record, but my message is always do not give up. There is always hope. There is always help available. Keep looking, keep asking questions, and just know that there are people out there who are able and willing to offer you support, and just be a part of your healing journey.
Thank you, Bethel. Thank you so much. And thank you for the reminder of this, because, as much as I know and as many shows as I do, I still need to be reminded. Thank you for reminding us, but also reminding us of the power that our body has with just a little expert nudging.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yes. And I'm not kidding. Anytime
No.
you turn around right now, it's all about Frankenstein. Who knows what's going on, but Mary Shelley did. Yep. All about
Ahead of its time.
electricity and flow. I mean, I'm not kidding. Commercials now. Thank you all for tuning us in, turning us on. And remember what Bethel is saying as you go into the holiday season. You don't have to go into the holiday season with the top of your head exploding, okay? We'll talk to you soon.